The punishment of American Pickers star Mike Wolf has shocked the nation. Many were astonished and confused by images of him being handcuffed and carried away. Could this arrest be related to antiques or History Channel disputes? The incident's truth is more complicated and terrifying than anyone expected. Explore this story's hidden details. If this tale astonished you, share the video, like the channel, and subscribe to remain updated. Mike Wolf's tale contains several startling turns. American Pickers star Mike Wolf was handcuffed and carried away, shocking fans nationwide. Based on recent stories, many believe the arrest was related to an antiques dispute or a History Channel business disagreement. The arrest's truth is considerably worse. Former co-host Frank Fritz's death led to Wolf's imprisonment. Fritz's death was first ruled natural, but detectives now believe it was deliberate. Fritz's medical reports showed he was overdosed on narcotics. Wolf faced murder accusations because prosecutors claimed he drugged Fritz, who trusted Wolf totally. Some have called the incident a crime, while many fans believe the animosity between the two was a gimmick to draw attention. Wolf might be arrested and held accountable for these terrible offenses. Prosecutors say jealousy and money caused the horrific revenge murder. The case took a surprise turn when the initial accusations were temporarily lowered. Investigators found further evidence complicating matters. Wolf was detained after an American Pickers crew member took him to Fritz's residence following his death, according to a social media post. After a thorough investigation, the Iowa State Police found Wolf's fingerprints on a prescription bottle and suspicious text messages to Fritz. This evidence prompted murder accusations. The medical examiner found toxicology report discrepancies that prompted Frank Fritz's death investigation. The declared cause of death was stroke complications, but the autopsy showed otherwise. Fritz's prescription drug levels were alarmingly high, considerably over his prescribed amount, raising suspicions. Fritz was said to have rigorously followed his drug schedule during his rehabilitation, causing detectives to wonder who interfered. The Iowa State Police quietly investigated Fritz's final hours companions. Fritz's old pals and investigators were astonished by their discoveries. Fritz's neighborhood surveillance discovered a disturbing information. Wolf's automobile was at Fritz's residence late at night, 3 hours before 911. Wolf called 911 after seeing his old friend Fritz and finding him unresponsive. Fritz died when paramedics found no pulse after attempts to revive him. Fritz's death was first attributed to a stroke, but toxicology studies showed otherwise. Frank Fritz's death seemed suspicious, and Mike Wolf's participation is still unknown. The story darkened when investigators focused on Mike Wolf's conduct after Frank Fritz's death. Wolf promptly took ownership of Fritz's collection and intellectual property without mourning. Wolf contacted Fritz's lawyer 48 hours after his death to discuss using his name and likeness in future American Pickers items. Wolf also quickly entered Fritz's storage facilities, where valuable antiquities never before displayed on the show were stored, according to production staff. Wolf appeared concentrated on business shortly after Fritz's death, expressing no visible sadness, according to crew members. A safe with unlabeled medication bottles was found in Wolf's home and office by detectives. These pills were identical to Fritz's. The most alarming revelation was Wolf's travel bag journal, where he wrote extensively about his developing disdain of Fritz. Wolf raged against Fritz in the journal. Some entries were several years old and increasingly aggressive. In one entry weeks before Fritz's death, F thinks he can return and steal half the attention. He forgets the show would not exist without me. He's a burden, and the network says there's only one way to rescue my work. Wolf's hatred for his former buddy and colleague was evident in his statements. Sitting calmly behind his attorneys throughout the 6-week trial, seemed calm as the prosecution presented proof suggesting he planned Fritz's murder. Wolf studied undetectable poisons and ways to make Fritz's death look to be a stroke complication, the jury learned. Wolf Googled, "Can stroke drug interactions be identified after death?" How to present death as a stroke consequence. Wolf used Fritz's health difficulties to murder him and take over the show, according to the prosecutors. American Pickers alumni testified to Wolf and Fritz's changing relationship in the years leading up to Fritz's departure and death. The two had intense fights regarding the show's future, according to a production aide. Wolf seeking full creative control. She remembered Wolf informing Fritz he lost his entitlement to equal pay due to his health issues. Wolf became increasingly dictatorial, criticizing Fritz to network officials and isolating Fritz from his old friends, according to several witnesses. Danielle Colby, who grudgingly testified, was especially emotional. She asked Wolf about reuniting with Fritz, but he became defensive and irritated, instructing her to quit meddling in unimportant affairs. Colby also found questionable Fritz medication regimen notes in Wolf's office. When she asked Wolf, he said he was worried about Fritz's health. The defense argued that Wolf had tried to reconcile with Fritz before his death, presenting the situation as a misunderstanding friendship. They had network executives testify regarding Fritz's rehabilitation press releases. When Fritz's personal doctor testified, this idea was disproven. The doctor acknowledged that Fritz was worried about his health, but optimistic about his recovery, and even considered starting an antiques business. Fritz's doctor said he'd never given him such high amounts of medication. Wolf's calm slipped when asked if he gave Fritz the medication. Fritz's death became more enigmatic as testimonies and evidence revealed Wolf and Fritz's tense and complicated relationship. The trial became contentious as the prosecution presented evidence and testimony about Wolf's financial motives. Wolf lost his temper and shouted at the prosecutor, "You don't understand what it's like to build something from nothing and watch someone else take credit, smiling for the cameras while everyone thinks I was just as crucial to the show's success." Wolf's defense squad called a recess to settle the atmosphere, but it was too late. The jury later said this moment shaped their deliberations, as it highlighted Wolf's years-long hatred when Fritz quit the show. At Wolf's trial, forensic accountants testified about suspicious corporate structure changes in the months before Fritz's death. Wolf had surreptitiously adjusted his enterprises to control Fritz's intellectual property if he died or became handicapped. Wolf bought Fritz a business insurance coverage which paid his company $5 million. Wolf built many shell businesses that Fritz was unaware of and transferred precious antiques worth over $2 million into them, according to prosecutors. Wolf was convicted in 4 hours after the jury reviewed all the evidence. Things went out of control after the judge sentenced him to life without parole. In front of the courthouse, Wolf burst in wrath, rising up and shouting, "You don't understand. He would wreck everything. He would ruin my legacy." Charged across the defense table, knocking over documents and drink cups as bailiffs rushed him. Wolf continued. He ran at Fritz's family, waving his arms, before they stopped him. Wolf broke free again as panic spread in the courtroom, escalating mayhem. He used a neck brace evidence to stab one of the bailiffs in the shoulder. Wolf cried, "I built American forklifts. That was my life," as 3 officers tried to detain him. Despite falling, he fought valiantly, wailing about his perceived betrayal. Wolf continued to cause mayhem, forcing the judge to exit the courtroom. When Wolf charged Fritz's sister at the sentence, security had to remove her. Officers battled to subdue him. In a chaotic scene, Wolf shouted, "I deserve this." Wolf lost his composure as he was handcuffed and dragged away. His rage heightened the courtroom's tension as he exclaimed, "It's my show." Wolf glanced at Danielle Colby in the gallery and screamed, "Tell them the truth. Tell them what Frank was like," shocking everyone. Colby retreated, her face distressed. The unexpected breakup left other production crew members sobbing. The courtroom events dramatically separated the American Pickers family, formerly thought to be close. Others supported Wolf, while others agreed with prosecutors. Court filings also revealed disturbing facts. Wolf secretly videotaped crew members turning against Fritz in the years before his death. Wolf continued to lash out as security attempted to stop him, exposing more shocking truths. "He was starting his own show," Wolf shouted. "He claimed I was outmoded, and the network wanted him back." 3 individuals were hurt in the courtroom, including Wolf's defense attorney, who was hit by a flying water bottle. Wolf shouted about Fritz's plan to ruin him as he was carried out of the room. Former friends and colleagues criticized Wolf's demeanor after the courtroom event. Thomas Reynolds, former American Pickers producer, detailed Wolf's rants behind the scenes when things went wrong. Reynolds said he presented a great rustic image on camera, but was terrifying off camera, especially with lower-level personnel. Others said Wolf became paranoid. Believe Fritz was covertly planning a return to television with a competitive show. Wolf may have had narcissistic personality disorder, which would explain his public and private actions. The case shook reality TV, notably American Pickers, which had millions of viewers. All Wolf episodes were cancelled by the History Channel, which expressed astonishment and sadness for Fritz's family. American Pickers lost several big sponsors, leaving its future questionable. Fritz's relatives sued for his antiques and IP.